I just built my dream fishery in my back garden. And despite me getting a grant of planning permission over a year ago, they still won't let me open it. In the UK, we have a huge problem with planning permission.
The villagers objected to my farm shop plan.
And have you ever heard of the phrase, having to jump through hoops? Well, that's exactly what I have been doing since starting these projects, and like many other people across the UK. How on earth do you end up spending over £20,000 for a piece of paper allowing you to build something that has a positive impact on your local environment on your own land? I started the process of gaining planning permission on my lake 2 years ago, and since then I've documented my journey of gaining planning permission to build Kev's Pool. Alongside Kev's Pool, I failed at gaining planning permission to turn an existing lake into a fishery in my local town, and now we find ourselves here on my driveway. But why are we on my driveway? Good question. Yes, my planning permission was accepted over a year ago, and I was allowed to get on and build my project. But there's a catch. Planning conditions are restrictions or requirements that local authorities impose when granting planning permission. They can appear in a planning decision notice or in a local development order. They are actions you have to carry out after your planning permission or rules that you have to stick to. So what are my planning conditions, and why does it mean that I can't open yet? Now, many of the conditions are actually in relation to the build itself when we were digging the lake. However, some are in relation to actually opening the lodge here and will need to be signed off before I can allow people to come and fish here and stay in that lodge. Now, some are just rules that we have to follow for the foreseeable future, and these include... What the hell are you doing?
Just chilling in the tent.
We're not allowed to bring tent, what are we flipping new? You nutcase! Not allowed one of these!
Really?
Yes! Just coming out to check on the lodge. What are you all doing in here? We're not allowed 4 people in the lodge. Get out! Get out! We're not allowed 4 people in the lodge. Get out! We're only allowed 3. Out! 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 It had to be you, didn't it? Right, he's been in here for 28 days now. Right, this is getting ridiculous. You've been in here for 28 days now. That's it. No more. You're not allowed to live in here anymore.
I've been evicted.
Yes, out. Out. Get out.
Why?
Out. Out. Yes. Off Fowler Fisheries. You've been here for 28 days. Leave. You haven't caught anything. Goodbye. And no waifu to be allowed on site at the fishery because it's simply too good. Now, of course, I'm joking, but from a building perspective, there are no jokes. The entrance to our property was built out of stones, and the Highway Authority were worried about the stones being dragged out on the road. So before we could sign off the planning, I had to get that changed to hard-standing highway standard materials. And despite me emailing the Highway Standards Agency and asking if block paving was okay, all I got back was that it had to be completed to highway standards. And after finding out that block paving was allowed, we decided to crack on and get building. And Y food is also something that meets strict standards, and if you're on the go like me and Kevin, it is the perfect meal replacement drink. Whose first stage of the driveway process was to claw back the stones and dig out the area, while avoiding the magnetic loop used to trigger our gates to open. If we'd hit that, it would have cost around 600 quid to replace. And inside one of these bottles there are 26 vitamins and minerals. They are high in fibre, gluten-free, lactose-free, and even have vegan options available too. The stones were actually moved by my mum to improve an existing parking area inside the gates. And the next stage was laying down the sand and then whackering it smooth. And with over 500 calories packed into one of these bottles, they're designed to keep you filled up for up to 5 hours. Genuinely, sometimes I get down to here and struggle to finish the rest. They are that filling. Kevin was then able to begin the laying process of the block paving, which involved making lots of painstaking cuts using his bench saw. He also installed giant drains to disperse of any water during periods of high rain. And a few days of solid work later, and look! It's now all complete. It looks amazing, and this means I can now get my phone out and take some photos of the area so I can actually send it off to our local council. And whilst waiting for them to reply, why don't you go and grab yourself some Y food? I've left the link in the description below to head over there and place an order, and don't forget to use code BEN-YouTube for 10% off your order when placing it too. This one is now empty, but I recommend that you get one of these taster bundles, which includes Y food's 5 best-selling Y food's 5 best... which includes their 5 best-selling flavours, and to be honest, they're my 5 favourite flavours. And the planners did email back, and they came back with this. They wanted proof that we'd protected all of the trees within a 50-metre radius while completing that block paving work that you just saw Kevin doing on the drive. Now, I'm not joking. Proof that we protected the trees within a 50-metre radius. And they wanted something called an ArbTech tree report to put all of that together, which cost £3,500. I'm not joking. And then my planning consultant would then charge a fee to send that over as well. So £4,000 to prove that during that work we did over there on the block paving at the front of the drive, to sign off the condition to allow me to open the fishery that's cost me £20,000 to open. They wanted another £20,000 in planning, by the way, to open. They wanted another £4,000 in other fees to give them the answer that we protected these trees that are coming in no contact to that block paving. I've got to the end of my tether and said no with this. ArbTech is the company that I've now spent tens of thousands with on my projects on surveys. Remember when we had to have the notes and all of the other surveys that they've conducted, including the preliminary ecological appraisal one that we've had to submit to the planning authority. Now, we're not unfamiliar with protecting hedging. Actually, when we began this project, we had to protect the hedge that sits behind this fence here. If you remember, Jack, who used to help us with loads of things at the start of the project, carried over all those mesh fence panels and installed them along this hedge, which had to be required by that same landscape officer to make sure any of the machinery during that build never caused that hedge any damage. And that's fair enough, because this side of the fishery over here, when we were digging out this bank, came very close contact with that hedge, and we wouldn't want any of the machinery to reverse into it. So I can understand it from that perspective. But I was at a complete loss at what to do with Down by the Gates, and after completely losing the plot... I can't film this video yet after getting off the phone to those planning people. I need a cup of tea, because I'm genuinely raging. Look at how stupid it is. Like, it's out my window. Our gates are down there, yeah? They're down there. And then those trees come further up the gates. And they're telling me, what did you do to protect the trees when the block paving was going down? I think the fact that they grew to flipping 155 is something that flipping protects them. Like, they don't need protecting. Why would you need to bring a fence and put it round a tree that is nowhere near the work that you're doing? And also, oh, you're doing it to protect the environment. Well, then why would you put fencing on a lorry that's chucking out loads of CO2 and drag it down to the house to then do something like that? And then if you put loads of work into that, more tree fencing gets built from more factories that put more emissions out, and it goes against the entire thing. I know I sound crackers, but it's true. Like, what is the point? I hate them. They are the worst. I decided to send the planners
Hello,
this.
Local Planning Authority. My name is Benedict Fowler, and I have a planning application in with you, and I'm just about to sign off some conditions, hopefully. And we've just carried out these works that you'd have seen in photos. There was no need to put anything round them because there was no machinery coming into contact with them. The other trees, which have been asked for a report on, are over here. I'm sorry for being so kind of blunt with it, but I just don't see how some light block paving work in the entrance carried out with preparation work being done less than 20 feet away could possibly pose any risk to trees that we've been protecting for years down the drive here and trees over there behind that fence there.
Now, a reply to that video can take anything up to 6 weeks, and you're not really allowed to even chase in that period because they say a reply can take up to 6 weeks. So imagine a conversation that takes 4 things going back and forward. That's 6, 12, 18, 24 weeks just for a conversation of 4 parts to go back and forward with the planners. So I'm making this to show everybody that is kindly messaging, asking when I'm opening and trying to book on, just what a challenge is when you get down to the final nitty-gritty bits just to get this place that we've been putting all this time, effort and money into open. And because this is so ridiculous, I decided to give my planning consultants a ring and ask them what would happen if I began to allow people to fish here and doing that to the planning authority. So I can only have friends fish it for testing purposes, and if I don't have that, then what you're saying is they would literally void my entire planning application. Okay. And that phone call is sadly not the end. In the fine print of the decision notice, the planners have asked that any external lighting is actually signed off prior to installation. Well, unfortunately, while I was gone, Mum was busy and she got some lights installed in the front of the lodge, thinking it'd be a nice surprise when I came back off of a trip. But this was a big no-no.
It's raining.
When did you have those lights done?
Oh, about a month or two ago.
Did you know you were not allowed to have those lights done?
No, I thought I could just put the lights on. Like...
No. Do you still have the boxes to the lights?
Yes.
Well, we need to send those boxes off and those lights off for approval to make sure that they're not displaying any light out to the area and polluting the skies from this lodge. I know they're not, but they're nuts, remember. We're dealing with people that are nuts. So, what we're going to have to do, unfortunately, is cover those lights up, they've told us, with something until they're signed off. So, luckily,
well, they're off anyway. They don't come on.
Luckily, I saw that you had these boxes for them in here, so we can send them a photograph of those boxes, but unfortunately they either have to remain switched off or you need to cover them up.
No, they're switched off because I didn't want to waste electric.
Oh, I see. That does sound like her. There we go. Okay, we will send them that photo. So after all this work, digging, filling, planting, stocking,
Expensive fish.
fencing, building the lodge, roading, re-roading, ruling, leak repairing, and so much more hard work, this is where we find ourselves, at a blockade on the decision notice, painstakingly taking ages with the planners. And there are other conditions on top of those too, like the fact that we have to perfectly maintain all of the landscaping as per the exact landscaping plans for a period of 5 years. And if we fall outside of that during a random check, the whole planning permission can be completely voided. So yes, after all that work, tens of thousands of pounds of planning permission, we are still not able to open because of a couple of lines are being delayed painstakingly by the planners on being signed off, and they're still trying to make it cost lots of money, and that is why I can't allow people to come and fish the fishery yet. Louis' work has dried up. I'm not able to pay him because of this. It's not great, is it?
Nah,
it's not ideal. And you've been involved in this project since the start.
Yeah.
I'd quite like to open it now.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Well, if you'd like to support us and you think that this is crazy, please do so by hitting the subscribe button, because these videos really do help get the word out about how difficult projects like this actually are to complete. Don't forget to hit that like button, and we have a very special video for you coming next time on the channel that I've booked in, and it involves me getting back in that wet stuff and also maybe him too. So we'll see you then. Thank you very much for watching and catch you soon. Bye. I don't think he knows how to pack it down.
Not working.
Go on, it's just fold it down. We're not allowed it up. Just put it down. Quick! Quick! Get it down!